Okay, so get this, right? That little flame we use every day, to cook our dinner, the
Yeah.
gas burner. Turns out there's a lot more to it than you'd think. You sent over some research about how they're made this whole journey from like dirt to our dinner plates. And I gotta say, I was blown away.
It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. I don't know, we take these everyday things for granted, right? But the amount of like ingenuity and precision in each burner, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Seriously. We're talking starting with actual dirt here.
Mm-hmm.
Iron ore, they dig it straight out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow that becomes this crazy strong steel. Like the whole backbone of the burner is this stuff that started as dirt.
Exactly. But it's not even just, dirt to steel simple. There's brass in there too for the heat. And then aluminum to keep the lighter parts, well, light.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
And even, would you believe it, ceramics.
Yeah.
Where they need things to be extra durable.
Ah, who knew?
And get this, each material, every single one has its own whole journey, right? From mining it to like processing, refining, it all ends up prepped and ready for the factory floor.
Speaking of which, the article you sent, it described this wild scene. Symphony of noise, heat, and precision. They actually used those words. Sparks flying everywhere, these giant presses shaping metal. It sounded more like a sci-fi movie than, a kitchen appliance factory.
It's something else. Picture this, okay? Huge presses, just wham, stamping out burner parts. And then you've got these robotic arms, like crazy precise welding stuff together. But then it's not all robots. You've got these skilled workers, too, using grinders and lathes to get everything just perfect. Every single burner goes through this whole intricate process, like a dance between high tech and real craftsmanship.
Makes you appreciate the work that goes into something we just, I don't know, totally ignore usually.
Yeah.
But, okay, this is where I really geeked out the gas valve, this tiny little thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a serious engineering feat when you get down to it.
100%. It's all about balance, you see. Too much gas coming through, and, well, that's dangerous, obviously.
For sure.
But too little, and your flame is all wimpy, won't cook anything. So they use, get this, sophisticated software.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah. They model the perfect pressure, the way the gas flows, and then each valve is tested, like hardcore, to make sure it hits those exact specs.
Wait, they test every single one?
Yep.
I get it, safety first, but wow. Makes you realize, like, all the engineering that goes into making sure our everyday life is, well, safe and convenient, right? We literally trust our lives to these tiny things.
And we're not even done with safety yet. Once the burner's all put together, it's like a whole other round of testing.
Oh, no, kid.
Oh, yeah, they do leak detection, pressure testing, and get this, flame stability analysis.
Flame stability. Okay, now I'm curious. What is that?
So basically, they're making sure your flame isn't gonna, blow out easily or get all weird and dangerous. They check that it works right no matter what, all sorts of real-world situations they simulate.
That's intense. Okay, now I feel a lot better knowing there are, like, whole teams dedicated to making sure these things are good to go.
That's the point. Safety and reliability, that's the name of the game. And it's not even new. Fun fact, the first gas burner, way back in 1826, some British chemist named James Sharp came up with it.
Whoa, 1826. So we're talking almost 200 years of gas burner history here. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? This humble device has been a staple in kitchens for generations, constantly evolving and improving over time.
And that's what I find so fascinating. We've gone from those early basic designs to these intricate, high-tech things we have today. And the best part, the innovations aren't stopping anytime soon.
So we talked about how they're made, how they make them safe and all, but what about the future? The article mentioned some really cool innovations, infrared burners, catalytic burners. What are those all about?
Here's what's cool. These new designs, they're tackling both efficiency, like using less gas, A&D being better for the environment. So you've got infrared burners, and they make heat totally differently. They use this thing called radiant heat, so it goes straight to the food, not just heating up all the air around it like our regular burners.
So it's more efficient, but also could save people money on their energy bills in the long run, too. Talk about a win-win.
Exactly. And then there's catalytic burners. Their whole thing is about reducing those nasty pollutants that come with burning gas, like having little filters built right in, making for a cleaner cooking experience overall.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It seems like the whole future of gas burners is all about doing more with less. Less energy, less impact on the environment. I like it.
Precisely. And it just makes you wonder what's next, right? What will the next generation of gas burners be like?
I know, right? Will we be cooking with lasers? Or like harnessing the power of mini black holes? Okay, maybe that's a bit out there. But you never know. It really makes you wonder what crazy innovations they'll come up with next for gas burners. But speaking of innovation, there was something else in the article that caught my eye. Induction burners. Are those becoming like serious competition for gas?
They're definitely making waves. Induction burners are a totally different approach to cooking. Instead of a flame, they use, get this, electromagnetism to make heat right there in the pot or pan.
Hold on, electromagnetism. That sounds like something out of Star Trek. How does that work?
It's actually really clever when you get down to it. So induction burners have these coils under a smooth surface, and those coils create a magnetic field. Now, when you put a pan on top, but it has to be a magnetic material like cast iron or some types of stainless steel, that field creates an electrical current in the pan itself, and that's what makes the heat.
So the burner itself doesn't get hot. It's the pan that heats up directly.
That's wild. Exactly. And because the heat's generated right there in the pan, induction burners are super energy efficient. Way less heat escapes into the air compared to gas or even those old school electric burners.
Yeah, that makes sense. Less wasted heat means you use less energy overall. But there's got to be a downside, right? Nothing's perfect.
Well, there are always trade-offs. One thing with induction is you need specific cookware. Your regular aluminum pots and pans, they won't work.
So that's the catch.
Yeah.
It's not just swapping out your old stove for a shiny new induction one. You might need a whole new set of pots and pans, too.
Yep, that's the trade-off. But that initial investment, it often pays off, with the energy savings and how responsive induction cooking can be. It's a switch a lot of people are willing to make.
Kind of like those early adopters who switched to electric cars, right? Had to deal with some initial hurdles, but now look at them. They're everywhere. So is the future of kitchens going to be this battle between these super efficient gas burners and these space-age induction cooktops?
It's definitely shaping up that way. And it's not just about efficiency either. There's the environmental impact to think about. Induction cooking is generally considered a greener option because it's not burning fossil fuels like natural gas does.
Right, right. Okay, so induction might win on efficiency and being better for the planet, but I got to say, cooking with gas, there's just something about it. That instant heat, seeing the flame, knowing exactly when to adjust it, getting that perfect sear on a steak, you can't beat that.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget the whole cultural thing around cooking with fire, right? We're talking something humans have been doing for forever. There's something primal about it. It's hardwired into us.
Totally. Maybe it's just me, but I find it kind of meditative watching the flames under a pot. It's like this connection to generations past, when cooking was more than just heat this up fast.
A lot of people feel that way. Cooking with gas, it can be an art form going way beyond just following a recipe. Mastering that flame, coaxing out flavor, knowing how to get a perfect sear versus a gentle simmer.
It's like conducting an orchestra, but instead of music, it's flavors and smells.
That's a great way to put it. And that brings us back to those high-tech gas valves we were talking about before. Those tiny things, they give cooks that precise control, letting them really play with the fire, so to speak.
Crazy how something so small can change the whole game. But speaking of impact, we've talked a lot about tech and science, but what about the people involved in all this, the human side of things?
That's a huge part of the story that often gets overlooked. We just turn on our stoves, but there's this whole network, all these people and processes that had to happen to make it work.
Yeah, it's easy to forget there are actual people behind it all, from digging up the materials to putting the final product together.
Exactly. We mentioned those skilled workers in the factories, but it goes way beyond them. Think about the miners extracting that iron ore, often in tough, even dangerous conditions.
Man, it really makes you think, even in our modern world, with all this technology, there are still people doing really hard jobs just so we can have the things we use every day.
It's true, and it's not just the miners. Think about the transportation, moving those raw materials all over the world. The engineers who design and fix the mining equipment, the safety inspectors making sure everyone's safe. It goes on and on.
Wow. It's really humbling, when you stop and consider this whole web of human effort, and it all leads to that little flame in our kitchens.
It really highlights something important, something that often gets lost when we talk about technology. That human element, it's always there. Even in the most automated processes, people are still a part of it.
It's like a reminder that behind every single object we touch, there's a whole story, this journey it's been on, with countless people playing a part.
And those stories are worth telling, I think. It reminds us how interconnected everything is and how much skill and dedication goes into the things we usually take for granted.
It's like those documentaries, the ones showing how everyday stuff is made. You start with something simple, but then, bam, You see this whole hidden world, all this complexity and human ingenuity.
Exactly. And those stories can be surprisingly fascinating.
It really makes you realize, even the simplest things can have these wild stories behind them.
It's true. And it reminds you progress. It's not always about inventing something totally new, you know? Sometimes it's taking something that already works and making it better. Safer, more efficient, less wasteful.
Right, like a classic design, but with all the latest upgrades.
Exactly. And that's what gets me excited about the future of gas burners. We're seeing that happen right now, taking those old principles, but with cutting-edge tech, it's going to be something else.
So what crazy innovations are next? I mean, will we be cooking with lasers? Or like little black holes? Okay, maybe that's a bit much.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but seriously, it's fun to think about, right? What we'll be able to do with something as basic as a burner as tech keeps getting better.
Mind-blowing is the word. I mean, we started with dirt, right? Dug out of the ground. But human ingenuity, we turned it into this machine, harnessing fire.
And that journey, like we've been saying, dirt to dinner, it says a lot about us, you know, our creativity, how we're always trying to make things better. It's a story that's been going on for ages, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Absolutely. This has been an awesome deep dive, I gotta say.
Mm.
So to wrap things up, what's the biggest takeaway you hope listeners are left with today?
You know, I think it's this. Even in our world, where there's tech everywhere, we got to remember to appreciate the cleverness, the work that goes into the stuff we use every day, the things most people never even think about twice. So next time you're in your kitchen, take a second. Look at your gas burner. Think about its journey, the materials, the design, all the people involved. It's this little marvel right there with a whole history behind it, and who knows what the future holds.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's true. There's always more than meets the eye, even in the most ordinary stuff. So next time you're whipping up something delicious, take a moment for that little flame and everything it took to get there. You might just see your kitchen in a whole new light.
Well said. Happy cooking, everyone.